Welcome, guys, to the Top 10 After Show, run by us fans for John Roca and for Matt Nost. Uh, Now, last week we wanted to do one based off of what movie was coming out, which was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Uh, we missed it last week, but we're making it up for you this one. This one's going to be based on top 10 Tom Cruise movies. Joining me, just like last time, is Mr. Dan Allen. Dan, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Dan Allen. My friends call me Skip. I'm on Facebook and Pinterest and all that stuff as Dan Skip Allen. Um, Dylan and I are the co-hosts of the Top 10 After Show, and can't wait to give you all my Tom Cruise goodness.
That's right. And just to make it up for you, since we missed it last week, we decided we're going to do something the guys haven't even done yet, which is bringing a third. So, Mr. Cole Boone, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Cole Boone. I'm actually a big fan of the Top 10 show. It's probably like my second favorite show on the Schmoes Know Network. So I'm actually really excited to actually do a Top 10 with you guys and argue over some of Tom Cruise's movies. So it should be a lot of fun.
That's right. And just so you know, just to run the structure over with you guys who may not know real quick, just like Matt Nost and John Roca do it, it's going to be we rattle off our 10, 9, 8, and then we go back and forth, all discuss those, then we go 7, 6, and then we go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then we all get our top 10. And then at the end, we're going to attempt with 3 people to create one gigantic top 10 of Tom Cruise movies. So with that, Dan, why don't you get us started on your 10, 9, and 8?
All right, my 10, 9, and 8 of Tom Cruise. I know this is going to be a little bit because we did do the profiles after show on Tom Cruise. These are going to be some films that you didn't hear me talk about on the profiles after show, so I'm glad about that. I had to move some of these around on my list, so I got Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at number 10. I think it's my favorite Mission Impossible movie. I think you had to have one of the Ethan Hunt movies in there in your top 10. I mean, maybe 2, but I think Tom Cruise has got so many performances, great performances, that I was just like, should I do 2? Should I do 1? So I definitely got Ghost Protocol. I think that's the best of all the Mission Impossible movies, in my opinion. Number 9, I have A Few Good Men, with the classic scene at the end with Caffey. And I had his name in my head now. Daniel Caffey, Tom Cruise's character. He's like a lawyer, and he goes head-to-head with Jack Nicholson, Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Jessup. That movie, that scene at the end of that movie makes that movie one of Tom Cruise's best movies, even though Jack Nicholson gives that great performance in the end of the movie. It's still a Tom Cruise movie, and it deserves to be on anybody's top 10, in my opinion. And number 8 is a movie I absolutely, really, really, really love, and I would have done. I wish I could have put it on my Fast 5 last week when we did our Fast 5, but a sci-fi. It's his first time working with Steven Spielberg. Minority Report. Tom Cruise is really great as this futuristic cop, and you get these crazy cars, and you're dealing with all this kind of like precogs and how they can predict murders and stuff like that. And the ending is great too. It's got one of the all-time villains, one of the great acting villains in movie history. Max von Sydow was one of the great villains. He's played a lot of villains in movies. So, but Tom Cruise, once again, gives a great, great, great performance.
That's right. And we'll be discussing them. I too have some of those. But Cole, why don't you go ahead and tell us your 10, 9, and 8?
All right, so coming in at number 10, I'm going to have Collateral. I know a lot of people in Schmo will and top 10 show fans love Collateral. Even Steve and John and Matt loved it. But for me, it's going to come in number 10. I just haven't seen it that much, so that's why I'm basing it on what I remember from the performance, which was fantastic. But so there that is. Coming in at number 9 is my first Mission Impossible film on this list. It's MI3. MI3 is a great movie. I just rewatched it last week, and it's one of the better action movies that I've seen Tom Cruise do in a while. And I love Philip Seymour Hoffman's villain performance, and that it's a really fun movie, and it revitalized that franchise. And number 8, I'm gonna have Magnolia. And I know John and Matt said it was more of like an ensemble movie, but I mean, if you're nominated for Best Supporting Actor, you have a pivotal role in that movie, and you really showed your talent. So for me, it's one of his better performances, and it's a really long movie. It's over 3 hours, but it's a really powerful movie, I feel like. So it's going to come in number 8.
Yeah, and all those are great. I'm going to start off for my 10, a little bit lighter mood, Risky Business. Him sliding across the floor is one of the most iconic scenes for him. You got Rebecca De Mornay in there, and when you just look at it on paper, it's a really crazy plot. But for me, it works so much, and it's all because of what Tom Cruise did. A very, very young Tom Cruise did back then. And then completely on the opposite side, your number 8, Dan, was Minority Report. Well, my number 9 is Minority Report. So once again, we seem to be pretty close on some of our things. For me, it was a terrific film. It's one of those that I hadn't visited until I was looking up the top 10 for this, and revisited it, and it was one of those when I saw when I was younger. Rewatching it, it's a whole lot better than I ever remember it. It was just that there's so many Tom Cruise performances that I couldn't put it higher than 9 for me. And then number 8 for me is Ghost Protocol. What Brad Bird did with that was just fantastic. You go from different action set pieces. There will always be the Dubai scene. I got to see it opening night. It was on IMAX, and I'm not afraid of heights, but that did a shit out of me. And it's one of those where just a tracking shot of him looking out and then transitioning into what is down, and it's a fantastic movie. It's one of his best performances. It's, in my opinion, his second best performance is Ethan Hunt. And that's why I had to put it at number 8. So me and Dan are already pretty close. Cole, what made you put MI3 there?
It's just one of those movies. I haven't seen all of his critically acclaimed films and stuff, so that's just one movie of his that I have seen that I just really like. If we have to cut one, I'm cutting off MI3 because I know neither of you two have it, I'm sure. But for me, it's a really fun movie, and I love the supporting performances in it, and I like how he actually had someone that he was trying to save. Like, he had a loved one this time. We'd never seen that before, and we haven't really seen it since. So I think there's something unique about MI3 that separates it from the other two.
Absolutely.
Four, sorry.
No, yeah, and actually it's been playing a whole bunch on Showtime, and pretty much every time it comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll tune it in. What JJ did with it was fantastic. There was so many action sequences in it. But Dan, you want to go ahead and move us on, unless you got something to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, Philip Seymour Hoffman is probably one of, I like the villain in Rogue Nation, but I think Philip Seymour Hoffman might have been the best villain of all the Mission Impossible movies. He was
I
just
agree.
so unlikable. You just kind of wanted to punch him right in the face. You know, you just absolutely could not stand Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is what you want from a villain. You don't want a villain that's, oh, well, I kind of like that villain. No, you want to hate the villain. That's the good thing about Mission Impossible 3, because Philip Seymour Hoffman was phenomenal as the villain. So that's the one good thing about that. And Dylan, I'm going to go off of one of your movies right now. I had it a little bit lower on my list, and that's Risky Business. I think Risky Business I have at number 7 on my Fast 5. I mean, this is the movie that, we were talking about the movie that made Samuel L. Jackson earlier this evening. Well, this is the movie that made Tom Cruise. Yeah, he did Taps, and he did some of these smaller movies, but Risky Business was the movie that made him a star, that put him on the consciousness of America. When he's sliding across that floor and you're playing that music, and he's wearing those sunglasses and he's wearing that shirt and he's wearing his underwear, you're like, that is a movie star in the making, and he becomes arguably, I mean, he's not my number one actor of all time, but if he's not in your top 10 actors of all time, or even top 15, I question your knowledge about movies and knowledge about actors and great acting and so forth. Risky Business is just a phenomenal performance by Tom Cruise, and I'm just so happy that the guy turned out to be one of the greats of all time. You know, and the irony of, he was like in his early 20s, and he's 53 right now, and he looks identical to when he looked back then almost. And he looks,
I know, right?
like he's aged. He hasn't aged. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I love Risky Business. And only because I have 5 other movies, and I've been made fun of because of this. People have really taken on my Fast 5 top 5, and I can't change that now because my Fast 5 top 5
No, you can't.
or my top 10, so I can't change it. So I have Top Gun at number 6, and I know you guys will take me to task on that as well. But I mean, Maverick, I mean, I know it's going to be number 1 or number 2 or whatever on a lot of people's list, and I love the movie. I saw the movie in theaters. That's how old I am. I know that's a reoccurring thing with me. I'm older than most of you guys. But I've been watching movies a lot longer than a lot of you guys. And I saw Top Gun in the theater when I was 12 years old, not 6 years, 12 years old, 1986. And it's just, I'll be interested to see what they could do with a Top Gun sequel. I mean, maybe he's the like mentor character to some new hotshot pilot.
I like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they do that. But yeah, I got Top Gun at number 6.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people who have it quite a bit higher. So we'll discuss that later. But Cole, why don't you give us your 7 and 6?
I'm right with Dan. I got Risky Business at number 7. Risky Business is a great movie. Like, I bought it and it came in a collection. And I was like, oh, it's a Tom Cruise movie. I should probably put it in. And I love that movie. It's so great. It's just a lot of fun, and I can relate more to him because he was closer to my age back then, and he's getting ready to go to college and stuff. And it's a lot of fun, and it's like Dan says, a star-making role, and you gotta give him credit where credit's due. Take notice of that movie because it really is a great movie. And number 6, I have one that you two have already mentioned. It's higher on my list. It's Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. Mission Impossible. It's just a great, well-acted movie with like some of the best stunts I've seen in some time. Tom Cruise is a nut, man. I'm telling you. When I see him on the Dubai Tower scene, my jaw is still open every time I see it, and I've seen it quite a few times already. And I like the team aspect of it this time around. It felt more fine-tuned. Brett, and you gotta give a lot of credit to Brad Bird's direction in this one. It's a great movie. So yeah, that's my 7 and 6.
Yeah,
Right.
my number 7. Oh, what were we gonna say, Dan?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's called the Burj Khalifa, the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post Protocol.
Yeah.
And for me, my number 7, it's just the same as Top Gun would fall higher on most people's. My number 7 is Rain Man. Yeah, I know. Now the reason it falls so low is because I just haven't seen it in a long time. It was one of those where I'm not as familiar with it, just the same as Cole, you were with Collateral, which I have higher. I'm the same way with Rain Man. It's such a great film from what I do remember. The counterpart between him and Dustin Hoffman and the whole storyline, directed by Barry Levinson the year after he did Good Morning Vietnam. And it's one of those where, it's a fantastic film. It's just I didn't get time to revisit it, which is why it fell so low. But number 6 for me is going to be A Few Good Men. I absolutely love that movie. It could be, growing up, I was born in 1992. I'm a lot younger than Dan. But I watch it all the time, with my mom growing up, because she absolutely loved that movie. And so for me, it just, it struck a personal connection with through there. That's why it falls at my number 6. And fantastic performances, nominated for 4 Oscars overall for the entire movie. And obviously, Jack Nicholson just being absolutely amazing. Oh,
No, that was good.
yeah, it kind of messed up on my screen.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So, Cole, why don't you get us started on this one? What's your number 5?
All right. So my number 5 is a movie I hope you both have because I really want it to be in our top 10. It's Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow. It's one of those sci-fi movies it's like a breath of fresh air. It's something we're familiar with, but we haven't seen in the sci-fi genre yet, which is like a stuck in the same day time travel type of movie. And I really like this movie because of Tom Cruise's performance. He plays the coward in this movie. You don't really see that often. It's a really interesting role for him to take, and I think he executed it so well. And I love the development of his character throughout the movie and see how he changes throughout the course of it. It's just a lot of fun, especially him and Emily Blunt. I thought they had great chemistry, and it's just something that I enjoyed the hell out of, and it made my top 10 last year. So it's one of my favorite Tom Cruise performances.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. For me, I have it at 4, and we'll get to that. Dan, why don't you go ahead and say your 5?
I will say my 5. What was your 6 again?
My 6?
Dylan's.
My 6, it was A Few Good Men.
Okay, that's right. I forgot that you said that. Okay, my number 5 is
keeping track of what we're on.
Yeah, I forgot he said A Few Good Men. A lot of people have been giving me crap about this, but I just think it's a great performance because when you're dealing with someone that's having to wear makeup in all kinds of like colonial clothes and do all this flying and crazy stuff, underneath it, there's still a performance there. Yeah, it's kind of an over-the-top performance, but I think it's one of Tom Cruise's best performances. You don't usually see Tom Cruise do this kind of role. And in Interview with the Vampire as Lestat, I think he gives one of his best performances. I know I'm going to be one of the only ones that has the Interview with the Vampire on their Fast 5 probably, top 10. But I just like him as Lestat. I just like him in this role. He just plays this character up so good. And that's just me. I know a lot of people don't think he's that good in Interview with the Vampire, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I know I believe it was Nose put it on this list. So you're not completely alone on there. For me, my number 5 is going to be Jerry Maguire. I love the film, what Cameron Crowe did with it. In my opinion, just based off of how many times I've seen it, I think it's Cameron Crowe's best. It was nominated for 5 Oscars. Cuba won his. Tom was nominated for one for his performance as Jerry Maguire. And it's just there's so many quotable lines of "Show me the money" and everything, and what he did with the character of just from the very get-go, showing what kind of pain he has to go through. Just being laid off and the way he's laid off and starting his own company and rising up just through losing all his clients and sticking with this one, sticking with him to the end. And for me, it was a terrific story, terrific movie. That's why it's my number 5. Cole, what do you have as your number 4?
All right. So if you watch the profiles after show, you would already know my my top 5 movies. But I did make a revision in it. So at number 4, I actually have Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. I know it's pretty crazy of me to have 3 Mission Impossible movies in my top 10, but it's one of my favorite franchises, and I love how they keep getting better and better each when a new film comes out. And I just saw it again today for the second time, and it holds up very well, and it doesn't feel slow or anything. It just moves at a great pace. The story is excellent. The stunts are even bigger and better this time around compared to Ghost Protocol. And I just like the story of how there's the Syndicate and that they're like an anti-IMF. And I love how he works with the team this time. I think it's my favorite team of all the Mission Impossible movies. You got Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Jeremy Renner, and Rebecca Ferguson, who is just awesome. She's really great in this movie. So yeah, it's gonna come in at number 4. It's my favorite movie of this year so far. I give it a 5 out of 5 rating. So yeah, my number 4.
Yeah, and I completely agree. The only reason I didn't have it on the list was because it was just so recently released. But if we'll discuss it at the end if we're gonna include it. But if we do, it's right up there in the top, definitely top 5 for me as well. Dan, what do you have as your number 4?
I have, just like Cole, if you watch the Profiles After Show on Tom Cruise, you know that I have Collateral at number 4 on my top 10 and Fast 5. Just kind of like Lestat in a lot of ways. Tom Cruise plays a character that you never see him play. He plays a villain, and he plays an older character. First time you see him kind of wear like makeup where his hair was like grayish, salt and pepper kind of gray. So he was trying to portray an older character, but he was just such a nasty character. But he was a likable nasty character in a way. He's like fast talking, and Jamie Foxx doesn't know what the heck is going on. He sees a guy fall out of the sky and land on his cab and all this stuff, or whatever, land on the ground, and he's like, "What's going on?" And and he's kind of telling him where to go and what to do. But part of what makes his characters the nightlife, the whole way Michael Mann films the movie, and Tom Cruise just goes along with this beautiful nightlife of Los Angeles. That's one good thing about Michael Mann films. He just films the streets and wherever the movie is being filmed in such a realistic way, and so you just kind of felt like Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx were like alive. They were like real, and you were part of what they were doing. And that's one of the cool things about Collateral, and Tom Cruise's performance is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have it one spot above you at 3. Yeah, and it's what Michael Mann does with that. It basically makes LA a character. I believe the guys had mentioned that, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the nightclub scene, probably the best nightclub scene other than maybe John Wick, which will compete with it. Probably the best nightclub scene ever. But my number 4 is going to be Edge of Tomorrow. Like I had mentioned when Cole mentioned it, just such a fantastic premise, and based off of, I believe it's a graphic novel. I didn't know anything about it. Basically, going in, the marketing was terrible for it. Went in and was blown away. It's just Groundhog Day meets alien invasion. It's fantastic story that could have easily just been one of those just toss away, but it's since, because it's so amazing, gained life on Netflix and through Redbox and things like that, and now it's one of Tom Cruise's best performances that everyone knows finally. So it's really good to see a film that was so fantastic, and the way he basically becomes, like Cole mentioned, this coward, and becomes this ultimate badass who learns from Emily Blunt, and then eventually falls for her in a way. So that's my number 4. Dan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is let me see here. Another movie I've been getting a lot of flack about, that I really love, I'm a historical movie, and people are like, oh, it's not historically accurate. And all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm not worried about what's historically accurate. I'm worried about the performance of a movie that I'm watching in the theater.
And how you're entertained.
And it's basically a movie that Tom Cruise did because he found a picture of the character Stauffenberg. He saw this picture of this guy, and he's like, oh my God, the guy looks identical to me. So he went and he studied and he looked up. He went back and he looked at, and he found out the guy was involved in a few assassination attempts on Hitler. And I think Valkyrie is one of his best performances ever given. I'll argue with anybody. You can say whatever you want about the realistic idea of what the movie's about, but I think he gives a great performance as Stauffenberg in Valkyrie. And Bryan Singer and Christopher McQuarrie. It was written by Christopher McQuarrie, directed by Bryan Singer. So you know that those guys wouldn't be involved in it if it was just going to be some throwaway piece of crap movie. And I know Tom Cruise doesn't just do whatever for the sake of doing whatever. And I mean, Valkyrie is one of his best performances ever given, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to say I'm full of BS or whatever you want to call it, but I like Valkyrie.
Well, Cole, what's your number 3?
What'd you say, Cole?
I said it's all good. It's your opinion.
Cole, why don't you go ahead and tell us your number 3?
Alright, so yeah, my number 3 is going to be Rain Man, because Rain Man is just one of those movies I can rewatch it a bunch of times and still enjoy it. I think what makes it so great is Cruise's performance. I know it's really Dustin Hoffman's movie, he won the Oscar for it, but without Tom Cruise's character and like his portrayal of him, I don't think this movie would have been as great as people seem to find it. I love how he's just it's all about himself at the beginning, and he doesn't care about his brother, and he evolves over the course of the film, kind of similar to what I was talking about with Edge of Tomorrow. He's evolving, and I love seeing that. And I think he just does a great job, and he works well with Dustin Hoffman. It was believable. That's what I think makes this movie so great. So, and that's why I have it at number 3. It's just one of those movies I love, and it's just fantastic film.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd already touched on my number 3, which was Collateral. You guys have both talked about it already. So we'll go ahead and just go to Dan's number 2. What do you have?
My number 2 is Cole's, I think, number 9, Magnolia. I know he's like one of 10 characters in the movie, Frank T.J. Mackey, but going off of what Cole already said, he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He gives a performance at the beginning of that movie where he's this motivational speaker trying to talk to geeks and nerds and pure oddballs. Like, you can control the woman. You're the man, and you should tell the woman what to do and be a boss in the bedroom and all this kind of stuff. And then he gets into this interview segment with the lady. She starts tearing him apart, dealing with his father and all this stuff. He starts shrinking into himself. It's like two separate performances within one little small role, and I mean, it's clearly one of, if not the best performance. I mean, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 performances, and it's something totally different. I don't think Tom Cruise has ever done anything like this before, and he hasn't done anything like this since Frank T.J. Mackey. And he fought to be in this role. He wanted this role, and I just think he's phenomenal as Frank T.J. Mackey in this very small role but very powerful performance.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Cole, what do you have as your 2?
My 2 is one that you guys said a lot earlier, but for me is up there. It's A Few Good Men. I saw this earlier this year actually, but for me it's a perfect movie. It has some of the best dialogue I've ever seen in a movie, one of the best scripts ever written by Aaron Sorkin. I just thought the acting was actually really good. I'm not a big fan of Demi Moore really, but she holds her own in this movie pretty well. And it's that final scene, like Dan said earlier, with Tom Cruise's Daniel Kaffee and Nicholson's Jessup, it makes the movie. And is why you watch the movie. Like, I'm sure you guys are the same. Like, sometimes I'll watch a movie all the way through just to get to that one scene I really want to see, because it just really makes the movie that great. And that scene is one of those things for me with this movie. So yeah, this is just a flawless movie, I feel like, and A Few Good Men is my number 2.
Yeah, and for me, my number 2 is going to be Top Gun. It's for me, it's so awesome. His play back and forth with Goose. I feel the need for speed. And there's just so many quotable lines for me in there. What he does just as a character, seeing him just as, cocky, arrogant, still has a good heart, but just overly cocky character, and just really breaks down and has to finally come back, have a redemption story. For me, it's a fantastic film, and that's why it definitely is my number 2. But Dan, what's your number 1 now? The big one.
I think you got to be a complete moron if you do not have Born on the 4th of July as the number 1 Tom Cruise movie. He goes to a place in this movie that most actors dream of going. He goes to a place as Ron Kovic when he gets blown up in Vietnam and he has to go through the rehabilitation in this hospital that's falling down around him, that's got people's feces, just rats running around. This is a hospital, yet this place, I wouldn't put my child anywhere near this place if I had a child. I wouldn't put my wife, if I had a wife, I wouldn't put my family members anywhere near this hospital. But this guy was freaking in a bed, and he has to lay there while all this crazy stuff around him is going on. Then he's dealing with his own family, who doesn't want anything to do with him, and then he has to get involved with protesting the war in Vietnam, the war that he was all happy to go and fight in Vietnam. He was born on the 4th of July, and ironically, he was actually born on the 3rd of July, Tom Cruise was. I said that in my little extra little trivia notes part of the Tom Cruise profiles last week. This movie is the one time and one time only that Tom Cruise becomes another character, that he is Ron Kovic. You do not see Tom Cruise in this performance. You see Ron Kovic. And that's why it should be number 1 on everybody's top 10 list.
Yeah, and might as well jump in. That is my number 1. Not going to add too much more onto it, other than it was nominated for 8 Oscars, won 2, including Best Director for Oliver Stone. Fantastic, one of my good friends on the Schmoes, JTE, just absolutely loves this film. You know, he was talking about it on Box Office Breakdown. But Cole, what do you have as your number one?
Well, sorry to disappoint you, Dan. Born on the 4th of July doesn't even make my top 10. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to put it on my top 10 if I haven't seen the movie. So this is going to be interesting when we come up with our top 10. My number one is Jerry Maguire. And I know Dan doesn't even have that in his top 10. But, yeah, Jerry Maguire is just one of my favorite movies. It's just a great feel-good movie. It's a sports movie. Dan knows and Dylan knows how much I love sports movies. And I think it's a perfect movie for Tom Cruise because he can be charming, he can be romantic, he can be funny. He really, it's one of those movies that really showcases his acting. And it's one of those movies that you really see his range as an actor. I mean, we see it in Magnolia as well, and like Risky Business, but with Jerry Maguire, I feel like that's the highest we will see him. Personally, because I haven't seen Born on the 4th of July, so that's just how I feel. So yeah, it's my number one, and it's in my top 100 favorite movies ever. I love this movie. I could watch it and never get tired of it, so that's why I put it at number one.
And can I just chime in here on Jerry Maguire? I know,
Go ahead.
I'm going to get a lot of chastising from people about Jerry Maguire. I have kind of a thing about Jerry Maguire. I know the movie's great. I know, You Had Me at Hello, Show Me the Money, all these great scenes, and the sports aspect. And I was more of a fan of a movie called Primal Fear with Edward Norton. And Edward Norton lost the Oscar to Cuba Gooding.
Don't hold it.
Huh? What'd you say?
It's the Tom Cruise after show.
That's why I have a bitter taste in my mouth towards Jerry Maguire. Or otherwise, if I wasn't so bitter towards Jerry Maguire, I might actually have it in my top 10. And that's why I'm not going to complain when you guys want to place Jerry Maguire in the top 10 movies of the three of us combined, because I know it is an iconic movie and it is an iconic performance by Tom Cruise. So I'm not going to balk at that when you guys do that, because I know it's going to be probably in the top 5 or 6 of the entire top 10 combined by all three of us. With that being said, I think that's where we're going to start going towards next, right, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm gonna start. We'll start discussing to see what we want as.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Cole. What's up?
All right. So I was keeping track through it all. I know that all three of us have Collateral, Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol, Edge of Tomorrow, and A Few Good Men. So we gotta make sure we get those movies that I just said locked in somewhere, because we all have them in our top 10. They should be in the final top 10.
I don't have Edge of Tomorrow, but...
oh, you don't? My bad.
If you guys want that on there. I'm going to make a concession right now, Dylan. All right? I know I'm tend to lean more towards drama, so I picked dramatic roles over comedic roles, and I picked roles that I thought where he was the star, Tom Cruise was the star more, instead of movies where he wasn't the main star, like Rain Man. So Rain Man isn't on there. Jerry Maguire's. So I'm going to let you guys knock off. I'm giving you guys 2 spots off of mine, and we can fit in. I'm taking away Interview with a Vampire, and I'm going to take away Valkyrie. But I'm going to fight for Magnolia. I'm going to fight for Collateral, because I believe these are great performances.
We can cut off MI3 for me and Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, because neither of you two had it, and I was the only one, so that's those two gone.
You mean
Well,
number 3?
Just because it was so new is why I didn't put Rogue Nation.
Yeah. No, I understand, and that's fine.
It would definitely be in my top 5 for sure.
So Cole, you're going to knock off Mission Impossible 3 and Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, and I'm going to knock off Interview with a Vampire and Valkyrie. Is there anything you're willing to give a concession on, Dylan, that you would like to take away, just so we make room for a top 10 list here?
No, mine's perfect. Yeah, I'll give a.
Is there anything that you have?
I'll give
You
away.
guys really do you both really need Rain Man on this list?
I'd like to see it at least near the bottom. I'll be fine putting it near the bottom where like Dylan had it.
We'll hold on. Yeah, we'll table that to discuss. I'm trying to think of what else.
Let's lock down the ones that we have.
Okay, so how about we discuss the ones that we only have 2 of?
All right.
So, Edge of Tomorrow.
Okay,
But why don't we do A Few Good Men, Ghost Protocol, and Collateral?
All right.
So where I Collateral 10, where'd you two have it?
I had it
I have it at 3 and he has it at 4.
Why don't you put it at one of those 2 spots? That's fine with me.
You want to do?
5.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we'll put it at 5 real quick.
So we got Collateral down at 5.
All right, what about Ghost Protocol?
Now I had it at 10. I believe I had it at 10. Now.
Yeah, you have it at 10. I have it at 8.
I have it at 6.
6.
So I want to just go.
Just meet in the middle and put it at 8. Yeah, 8.
Okay.
All right. So we got 5 and 8 locked down. Ghost Protocol and Collateral.
All
And
right.
the last one's A Few Good Men. We all have that.
You have it at 2.
2.
Cole.
I have it at 9.
9. And I have it at 6.
So, Cole, what do you think about either 6 or 7?
I put it at 6. I think 6 would be good.
All right. So we're
Since
locked
I
down.
have it so high.
Yeah. Collateral at 5. A Few Good Men at 6, right? And then we have at number 9, Ghost Protocol. So now we're going to have to
8 Ghost Protocol.
8 Ghost
yeah.
Protocol. So 5, 6, and 8.
8, 6, and 5.
Yeah.
5. All right. So now you guys talked about.
You guys.
Real quick.
Can I
You
say
both
something?
have Risky Business at 7. You want to just lock it in at 7?
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah, absolutely. Unless Cole, do you have an objection of putting Risky Business on the list?
No, that's good with me. I like it on there.
So
It makes
five,
it
six,
made all of
7,
ours. So
And I was also going to say you can put Born on the 4th of July at number 1 since you two have it at number 1. So that makes sense.
Thanks,
Okay.
Cole. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I need to watch it.
Now, I would give a concession saying, since I don't have Jerry Maguire and the two of you do, you guys could talk and say wherever you want Jerry Maguire, and I'm going to go along with having it wherever you guys say.
You two also have Minority Report and Top Gun. I don't have those 2 in my top 10.
Oh,
I think those 2 should be in there somewhere since you two agree on them.
yeah. Want to put Minority Report at 9, Dylan?
yeah, we can do that.
We could put Top Gun at 4.
Yeah, but what else? I feel like we're leaving something off. We're gonna.
No, because you guys both have Rain Man. You both have Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
How many more spots we have left?
Dylan and
3, 4, 9, and 10. So we got 5 of them.
Cole and I have Magnolia, and I want Magnolia in the
Yeah.
top 5. That's something I want to really fight for, Magnolia in the top 5.
I'll concede on that one. I'll put Magnolia at 2.
At 2?
Yeah, you had it at 1, right, Cole?
No, I had Magnolia at 8.
I
Oh.
would say 3. I'll give you guys Jerry Maguire at 2.
I put Magnolia at 3.
Yes, I can agree with that.
I'll take it. I like that.
All right. So what's
Top Gun at
2?
4.
What's number 2?
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
And that would leave 9 for Rain Man. 10. 10 for Rain Man. Is that good with you guys?
Do we put Edge of Tomorrow on there?
Oh, crap.
Oh, that's right.
Great.
We have to decide between Rain Man and Edge of Tomorrow.
That's a battle you guys have to fight because I don't
Yeah.
have either one.
Let's put. What do you think, Dylan?
Oh, wait. 4. What were we saying was 4?
Top Gun.
What's 9?
Mission Impossible. No, Minority Report.
Oh yeah.
Minority. Okay, that's right.
So what do we have? Do you have them written down?
Uh,
We're
yeah.
trying to figure it out.
So wait, what's 10? What do we want as 10?
That's it. That's the last spot we have available, guys. It's
Is
up
it
to you
Rain
guys. Which one do you want? What's more important? Is Rain Man?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I
I'll
was
give
just
it.
gonna say we both had Edge of Tomorrow higher than Rain Man.
Actually, I had Rayman higher, but I will give it to Edge of Tomorrow because Rayman is Dustin Hoffman's movie, and Edge of Tomorrow is Tom Cruise's movie.
All right, we'll do that.
That should be it then. That's
All right.
a little bit easier considering we all gave a few things up. To
Yeah.
create
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I got Jerry Maguire too.
Here we go with the entire top 10 for the top 10 after show on Tom Cruise. Edge of Tomorrow. Number 9, Minority Report. Number 8, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Number 7, Risky Business. Number 6, A Few Good Men. Number 5, Collateral. Number 4, Top Gun. Number 3, Magnolia. Number 2, Jerry Maguire. And number 1, movie that Cole needs to see, Born on the 4th of July. All right, so there we go. That was pretty easy, wasn't it, guys? That's a lot easier than I expected it to go.
Well, I think with all of us having something at least two or three that were very different than the rest, it was easier to knock those out and kind of concentrate on the ones we all had in common. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I suggested taking Rain Man off because it was more or less it's Dustin Hoffman's movie, and so that was kind of you guys had to make that choice yourselves, even though I suggested it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And just to let you guys know, we will be doing. The guys did the best superhero movies. What we're going to be doing is the best Marvel movies. Now, it doesn't mean MCU movies, but it does mean any Marvel movie. Spider-Man, Daredevil, any of those. Yeah, not that that's going to make it, but any of those we will be discussing. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead and tell the people once again where they can find you at?
You can always find me at my name, Dan Skip Allen, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I have a Periscope. I have not used it yet. I also do another show called The Profiles After Show, which these two gentlemen were on this evening, so we're kind of crisscrossing over shows. I am the host of that, and I do another show with a close friend of mine down here in Orlando, Florida, called The Best Damn Movie Show, where we're going to be doing a little bit more advanced show in the near future, so look forward to that. And all over social media, Schmoville, so forth.
All right, we'll throw it to you, Cole, real quick. Where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at CTBoone57. Find me on Facebook and YouTube at Cole Boone. I'm also the admin of the Profiles of Malone Man's Facebook page, so you'll see me on there giving my opinions and stuff as well. And like Dan said, I do tend to join the Profiles After Show. A lot more. I like doing it. I've been doing it recently, and for those of you that haven't done it and are fans of that show as well, I recommend that you talk to Dan and ask to join it because you're more than welcome.
Yeah, and for me, you can find me at Dylan E55 on Twitter, Dylan.Esposito1 on Facebook. You'll see me on Schmoville. You're not a part of it, go ahead and join up. Just ask to join. I'm one of the admins, so I'll personally accept you. You can find me on the Box Office Breakdown Facebook page, the Top 10 page. Obviously, you can find me here, and then we will be doing. I definitely want to keep on doing those profile after shows. And so for all of us here, go ahead and let us know your top 10 Tom Cruise movies. Comment below, and let's hear them. Let's discuss them. Thanks for watching. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.